Hello, welcome to the third session of the Giraffe Wars campaign. If we haven't scared you away yet, that's great. I assure you, though, in the sessions preceding this one, we're certainly going to give it our best shot. Sorry that the summary took so long. Our session opened up with Jean and Barrick finishing up their drinks, Jean doing her best to bring the dwarf up to date on recent events. Doesn't go so well, does very little. Barrick seems just as confused as when he started. Maestro meets alone in the common room, while Adel goes straight to bed. Island goes to bed feeling somewhat unwell. Jean, while in the common room, doing her job, notices Rem leaving the inn. As she goes to catch up to him, it almost seems as if he's trying to avoid her. When he cannot outdistance her, he turns, and he appears somewhat shaken. She goes to talk to him, and Rem tells Jean that he left her a letter. She presses him, but he seems unwilling to say more. With that, she lets him leave, and she retires to her room to read the letter. Faradin, the Aiel, is busy training Sakub nearly all night. This goes surprisingly well. The monkey takes to the spear as if he had known it all his life. The gambler, who introduces himself as Palamaldag, and prefers to be called Pell, he sits with Barrick and says that he's been in the tower for a bit. In a sickbed. He doesn't seem to be very keen on Aes Sedai, and he's very quick to say he wants to leave the city. But he cannot. Every guard in every guardhouse knows him by name, by description. Barrick begins to smell some bull. He attempts to dig into Pell, trying to get some information out of the young man. It's clear that if the Aes Sedai don't want him to leave the city, there must be some reason for it. Pell remembers very little, it seems, and after a little bit of instigation and insight, it's pretty clear that he's telling the truth. He was just sick, and the Aes Sedai healed him. He's a little uncomfortable with the power, and that seems obvious given his commentary on being healed with it. Barrick says that he wouldn't mind helping Pell, but the group has the ultimate say. He buys Pell another drink, and nearby, Maestrom sits quietly, watching the commotion of the inn. He pretty much keeps to himself for the night. Barrick and Pell, they begin a drinking game, and with Barrick winning the first round, then the second round, Pell passes out in his mashed potatoes. Just face down. Barrick calmly drinks his third round, unfazed, and walks off to bed, cold as a stone. The group, they first believed that Pell was Padden Fane reborn. But after the interaction with Barrick and the next morning, they are convinced that they have met Matrim Cawthon, reborn into the pattern once again. They wake up to finding that Selenia had written a letter to all of them, each in their rooms, and she lets them know that she's going to be held up with her issues in the tower for just a little while longer. She urges them to leave soon, and she tells them to beware. She tells them that Pell is familiar with her and trustworthy, but that they should not let him know that they are in her confidence. He'll immediately suspect them of being tied to her, trying to tie him to her, and trying to rope him into Aes Sedai schemes. She, as an afterthought, told them to mind the serving girls around him. Faradin wakes up earlier than everyone. He yawns, he stretches, and grabs a cube, calmly yeets himself out the window onto the street, walking into the market, seeking someone who can give him a Cadensor for Sakub. When confronted by the group with this, the player simply stated, Faradin doesn't do stairs. The market's capable of doing this for him, but they need to study the strange cloth to understand it. Faradin, used to Aiel ways, unsure of how Wetlander custom is, calmly strips down there, walks back to the inn, naked as the day he was born, having given the Cadensor over to the merchant, who's flabbergasted. He trains Sakub, and Sakub doesn't respond very well. He simply learns that no means stop flinging poo. Nothing more. Everyone eats breakfast together in the private dining room. Jean is from Tamador, and she really tries to give everyone some information on the nation that is the seat of power for the Sons of Illumination, a group of zealots that organized militarily several hundred years ago. They've worked together to control far more territory than their counterparts from the last Third Age. And this land will treat them brutally if the party is not wise in their actions. As she attempts to dissuade them from picking fights with the Sons, Beric speaks up, speaking half in Dwarvish and talking half in Common. He seems confused about when and where he is exactly, how long he's been gone. It seems that he was in a portal stone for a while and just is unsure of where everybody's at and what's going on. The party doesn't seem much help again, and he sits down after a minute, still confused, but he realizes things are more important for now. Pell joins them then and encourages the group to just do what's right so they can go have their fun. Fun can't be had until the cows have all been milked, he says, introducing himself as a bit of a gambler. After a little bit of talk, it seems that something is pulling, something is nudging them in this direction to accept him into their group, at least until the city walls are behind them. And the party feels it, and I even imply that Taviran is working. And they agree to allow him to leave the city with them. That night, Jean asks him to dance, and he does rather well after messing up a little bit in the beginning. Jean leaves a letter with Rem, and the group sets off. Spicy. Island recognizes Beric as a long-lost dwarven king in the common room. He's been lost for 1,200 years. Explains quite a bit. As they travel through the night, Ferretin keeps watch. He travels ahead of everyone as Aiul would do, and scouts ahead. One night, he hears a strange cry, thinking it's a bird of the wetlands. But wait, it's not. He remembers that sound. He looks up, and sure enough, there is a Draghar following them, letting them know he is there, letting someone else know where they are, marking their location every night, dogging them. As they finally arrive just on the border of the wildlands around Dragonmount, they arrive into the town of Bendersham, where a mob of angry villagers swarms them and accuses them all of murdering the mayor. The group decides, after a little bit of thought, not to go murder Hobo, and the village council allows them to gather evidence of their innocence or of someone else's guilt. Some minor investigation begins, but this is the end of the session, and it wraps up fairly quickly. I'd like to save most of that for the next session summary, as it would provide a more concise and clear understanding of the events that unfold. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for giving the Giraffe of Wars campaign a shot. I'm your host, Darian. They're gonna surprise you guys next round. Thanks.